Hello and welcome to the Yarnings Podcast. I'm Kristine and I'll be your host. This is episode 81. I don't know what its name will be yet. It is Friday, February 26th. It is a drizzly afternoon here in Vancouver, Washington, where I am recording from. It was a little drier earlier, and then when I left the mall, which is in front of our house, it was drizzling, so not too bad. I think it was 57 when I checked, so it's pretty okay day for February. I can see that the pink flowers behind our house are starting to bloom, and I'm allergic to either those or something that blooms at the same time as them, so we will see how that impacts me now. The rain will help, though. So I think that's it for my intros. Thank you for coming and watching my podcast today. I am so glad to have this community of awesome people that either watch or participate on the forums or chat with me on Instagram. It is great fun to be part of the knitting community with you guys. So thank you for joining me, whether it's your first time or you've been here for many, many times. I appreciate it. So let's move into some life stories. So I've been doing a lot of cleaning. We got the second toilet installed upstairs. I've been de-allergizing the inside of the house. I've had some bad allergy attacks lately. And so we replaced all the pillows. We got some new sheets. I got a allergy air purifier, air cleaner. The brand is Germ Guardian, and so I have dubbed her Gamora, the Germ Guardian. Guardians of the Galaxy. And I have a sticker that I want to put on it from a shop on Etsy that I have a Kaylee sticker from. And that will be cool. So Gamora is helping with keeping my indoor allergies in check with air filters and UVC light that kills the allergens, I believe. So yeah, lots of cleaning going on. Just trying to get closer to, I had to clean the floors so that Eric could deep vacuum things because I thought maybe the dust wasn't helping things, so I got the floors all straightened so that was a easier prospect. Besides that, just doing stuff, things, all that. Nothing overly exciting except for the stuff that I'll talk to you about in the rest of the podcast. So let's move in to yarnings and adventures in knitting. What I am holding in my hand gotten a little bit of work on it. These are my Castle socks, and let's not let those needles clink on the keyboard. You can kind of see that there's almost a hexagon in there. It's kind of a little motif that I made up with twisted cables, and even if it doesn't really super look like a hexagon, I know it is, and because the yarn is inspired by the game Castles of Burgundy, there are hexagons for all of the pieces that you buy, and so that made me smile to think about there needed to be a hexagon in my socks. So these are my normal vanilla sock, besides either side having, one's on one side, one's on the other side, either side having a motif. This is another Crafty Girl in her strong sock base. This is Countryside Castle. I'll show you one more time because it's so pretty. So yes, they are knitting up really nice, and I haven't knit on them as much because of my other project. We will set these down. Back in its basket. Let's pick it up so we don't drop the stitches. Okay, this is my Valentine's All Year. That's what I'm calling it, and it is almost done. I think I'd finished the waistband when I talked to you guys last. And now I have completed the skirt and a beautiful section of Fair Isle on the bottom. And now I'm moving on to the bottom ribbing. And then I think I'm going to attempt a tubular bind off, even though it's going to be over a lot of stitches, because that's what the top has. So I will end with the same twisted ribbing like I did on the top and the pink tubular bind off. It sounds like a lot of work, but I think it's plausible. So this is going to be, let's see, I don't think I can stand back far enough to show you the length. Maybe. Yeah, so this is going to hit me goes almost to my knees, but maybe that's not quite all the way up to the top. I haven't tried it on lately. It's going to be fabulous. So this is what I'm calling Valentine's All Year. It is inspired by the pattern Christmas in July, which is about the first this much of it is in pattern. And then once I got to these pink hearts in here, I started changing things. And then I added a waistband, and I added a bunch of increases, and I increased as I went down, and I added a bottom Fair Isle, which for the most part I just improvised, which might be crazy on a 450 stitch item. I started to chart it, and I got to about there where those green hearts are, and then I just kind of kept going. I am really pleased with it. I think this is going to be amazing. I've got some yarn I really love in here, and the Fair Isle makes it so nice and cozy. And I did it short sleeves, just a teeny bit of ribbing. I did a little almost puff sleeve detail there where I decreased, but I'm not sure how much it will show up. Can't really tell until I block it. So once I block it, probably for next episode, you'll get to see me wearing it. So that has taken up a lot of my time, because anytime that I've been at home, I have been knitting on this, and it went with me multiple days out on Tuesdays and stuff like that. This last week it didn't, because I was in the middle of the Fair Isle, and that was a little hard to carry along because I was using all these little balls. So I have some that I've used that much of, and then there's other stuff that I've just used a bit of. There's some hollow balls. So yes, I have been utilizing my yarn for this very well, and I'm excited to see how many yards it ends up being, because the pink, which I'm down to 17 grams, so I think that'll be enough for the tubular bind off. A solid row, just a normal row, is 3 or 4 grams. So I think even with the tubular bind off being Kitchener stitch on the edge, I think it should be good. So that alone was 1,200 yards for the pink. And then I added quite a bit of the other things. And I think I have pretty good math on what I started with, so I should be able to figure out what I used. So I'm doing the 1x1 ribbing on the bottom. I started to say the pattern is based on Christmas in July by Tanis Loveley, and the main yarn is Holiday Yarns Flock Sock, and then there is a bunch of fingering weight other yarns in there. Some of it is 2-ply, some of it is single-ply for the color work, and yes, I will tell you more details when it's finished, what all the cool colors are again. I think I said when I was starting it, but I think I may have added a few things along the way. So that's that. So that's what I spent most of my time on. Even when I was downstairs watching TV, I wasn't spinning so much. I don't think I spun at all maybe once or twice. But I was working on this because I'm excited about it. And it's a February kind of out thing, and so I'd kind of like to finish it for February. I think I'm on track to do that. I'm close to finishing the twisted ribbing, so then I just have the tubular bind off and weaving in the ends, which will be a little substantial, but it's doable. I can do it. I'll figure it out. So that's my knitting. Needle adjacent, I went through my queue and kind of lined up the next few things I'm going to work on, and I'm really excited about that. One of the combinations, which I don't remember what shawl I ended up deciding on, but these two I think will be friends in a shawl. A Sun Valley Fibers merino nylon sock in iris, and another crafty girl. This is the sparkle or twinkle sock in the galactic colorway. And I think those two are going to go together just lovely. And these are both vendors for Zombie Apocalypse this year. I'm really excited about that. So those two are close at hand so that they can be used soon. Hopefully I will have that cast on to work on during Game Storm, because Galactic is another Race for the Galaxy. It's another board game colorway, and that makes me happy. So I'm kind of saving it for that. So hopefully I can get to a good point in the shawl and then use it for my knitting and playing, like convo knitting, convo cal. The other thing that I'm working on is design work, and so I've spent some time at my computer working with Stitch Maps, which is a charting software that is really unique. JC Breyer is the person behind it, and it is a software where the stitches line up on top of each other. And so if you're doing something like feather and fan, in the fabric, it looks like this. And so in her kind of charts, they line up underneath the stitch below. And it's really unique, and it's very cool if you are adding stitches and the chart is getting wider. And so I've been trying to see how I can use that in my patterns, because I think that for the type of patterns for the next two things that I'm designing, this is going to be superior. So I'm looking at that. I'm evaluating my options and trying to figure out if it's going to be easily able to describe to people that have never seen a stitch map. I had a good conversation with some people on Facebook, and I am really enthused about the interest. So I think I'm going to go forward with that. There will still always be some other form of instructions, whether it's written instructions or a traditional chart. So it won't just leave people blind to put them in, oh, here, this is the only way to do it. I don't want to do that. But I do think that this is a improved way of charting some of the things, especially increasing lace and being able to visualize on a chart a little better. So I've been working with that, and I've been working on typing up some notes for my pattern, and yeah, it's going good. For yarning spinning a tail, I don't have anything to show you. If I worked on it, it was a very small amount. For Stitch Through Time, though, I'm going to put a picture here of the English paper piecing project that I sent off to my friend Rena. I found some Marvel fabric and made a trivet wall hanging something with paper piecing, and now that's been shipped off to her and she's received it. I can show you guys what I made. I got to experiment with some different hexagons from the book A New Hexagon by Katja, I don't remember what her name is, Katja Peterson maybe. It's linked in the show notes, and so that turned out really good, and I was really pleased. There were definitely things that I'd like to improve on. This was my first time doing a lot of the techniques in this, but it was a good project because it got me to work on some new things. It was kind of progress, not perfection. And I am glad that I was able to do these things so that I could get closer to knowing other techniques for it. There were small triangles, there were different types of hexagons. All of the main motifs were hexagons with other shapes inside of it. And so I had only worked with just hexagons attaching to hexagons before. And so I had to try some different ways of basting to make it work. And I tried to hand quilt with just sewing thread, and that was kind of mixed results. It worked, but it may not have been the ideal way to do it. I probably could have done some other things, but hey, it worked. It showed off the batting that I put inside of it. And so, yeah, there were just a lot of great techniques that it taught me. So I'm really glad to have that under my belt as one more paper piecing project. I started my sewing machine yesterday. She's back here. She doesn't have a name yet, but she needs one. She is a Brother CS 6000i. This is the same machine that Paula from Knitting Pipeline has, and she talked really highly of it. And then I went out and read a lot of reviews, and I found it as a lightning deal on Amazon way back in December. And I just really hadn't taken the time to read my manual and understand all the things until this week. So I went through, I learned how to thread. It's got a little threading diagram for both making bobbins and for threading the whole machine, and that was really helpful. And I got to figure out the tension. You can see there's a lot of little bubbles in the thread that came up, so that one wasn't so good. So I did a lot of experimenting on little pieces, and I found that some of my problems were coming because I was just sewing on one piece of fabric, not folded over. That was giving me some issues. And so then, in preparation for my first real project, which is going to be pillow covers, I have pillow forms over there. I want to make some little pillow covers. This is a small version of them. It's got an envelope back that you stick your pillow inside of there, and it's got a flange, so you can see the sewing on the outside, and then the pillow just goes into this space in between. So it gives it a little more of a decorative look. My pillowcases will have, oh, I didn't bring my paper piecing in here. It will have some of my original hexes that I'm sewing together, and that will be a motif on the pillow cover itself. So I wanted to go through the process of, so you finish these seams that are going to be on the edge of the envelope. That's what this is called, is an envelope. I don't know, something. Covering. So you finish these by double pressing. So you press it once and then you fold it over and you press it again. And then you sew it all together and turn it inside out. And so I got to go through the whole process of what these steps look like. And I can see some things that I need to be careful when I'm sewing the flange, that I don't have an extra stitch that goes higher there. Just some things that need improvement. But it was a really good small version of what I'm going to do to make sure that I understood the steps. I don't know what I'll do with this cute little pillow covering. Maybe it'll get stuffed and sit somewhere. This is fabric left over from when I quilted before, which was for my sisters when I was in high school. So I found my box of extra scraps of fabric, which is really a great thing that now I have scraps I can practice on and not worry about hurting my nice fabric that I'm really excited about using. Although I do have extra of this, so I will undoubtedly be okay, but still, it gives me a little extra wiggle room that I can understand what I'm doing before I have the final thing. So I'm trying not to let it scare me that I could break something or I could ruin some fabric. Just trying to do some practicing, because that's what you do when you're doing a new craft. And I put in pink thread. I went ahead and put in the pink thread because that was going to make me happy while I was working on it. And so pink thread it was. Good little sewing machine. So yes, she needs a name. She might move to this desk because the lighting over here is better. It does have a light. So there's a little light under there, but only when it's turned on. And so some extra light couldn't hurt. I do have this light back here that's lighting behind me that I can turn on to it. But I have two big lights up here, and so this is a very good spot. It's just I also use this part as a desk. So I haven't decided if I want to permanently put her here or if I want to leave her over there and just adjust some lighting. Because I kind of do need to adjust some lighting for my iron in the other corner because it's dark over there. So yes, I've been having a lot of fun with that. And the other thing for Stitch Through Time, besides the hexagons I was sewing together, I started on my cross-stitch. So when I first started my video version of my podcast, I talked about getting a cross-stitch pattern from the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. And this is the Beekeeper, which is appropriate because my last name is Beeson. And I have gotten this far on it, so I have plenty more to do. You can see there's still a thread hanging out up there. I don't remember if I finished that section or what that is doing there, but it needs something. And I put painter's tape around the edge to stabilize it, and I've got a cute hot pink frame. I know that has a better name. You all are probably screaming it, but so embroidery hoop. There we go. I did stick all of my tools for this in a shaker bottle without the lid on it, and that's not the best solution because I can't really get to the things in the bottom very easily. My needle threader, which apparently cross-stitch needles are much harder to thread than normal needles, and so I do need a needle threader for that. So I think I'm going to get another box just like my English paper piecing because this hoop fits inside of there, and then I'll have one for the paper piecing and one for the cross stitch because I'm really enjoying this. This is fun. So lots of sewing this week. Okay, knitting community. We have a new knit along going on, and I had said I'm going to open up a thread, and the thread is not opened yet, so I will do that today. We have a new knit along. I don't know what the prizes will be for this yet, but it will be open through the end of March. I want you to tell me a story about your knitting project. Something you finished this year so far, something you'll be finishing in March. Tell me a story beyond just the pattern and yarn, but tell me a little story about it. Like my socks. They've got a story. I am adding a hexagon because it reminds me of a game. So it's more than just saying, these are socks. I'm knitting vanilla socks out of another Crafty Girl yarn. I like to tell a story. So I'd like to hear your stories too, because you guys get to hear my stories. I want to hear yours. So that is the knit along. There will be at least 2 prizes from me. One will be physical, one will be digital. And if somebody else wants to donate a prize, hey, let me know. So Oh, and you could also tell a story of what you did during knitting your project. Like, I've spent a lot of time on the bus with these. This gives me comfort amongst many, many people coming and going of many different walks of life. And so when I have this project in my hand, I feel comforted. There's another story. So we're calling it the Yarning a Tale. You can use that as a hashtag, Yarning a Tale, knit along. Okay? All right. For Sagas of Geekery, now playing. We went to Guardian for a game day last Sunday, the Sunday before last. And I got to play 3 games. We played Prosperity, which I had played before, which is a good game. That's a really nice one. We played a new game to us called Shakespeare, and it's actually a pretty new game anyhow. I think it was published recently, and you are creating all of the elements you need to put on a production, and that's really kind of cool. It was a good game. It was very nicely done. And then we replayed Alien Frontiers, which is a dice rolling game. It's a fun one. We bought 2 new things while we were there. We've played one of them, and we have played Viticulture. Viticulture is very cool. It is the essential edition of Viticulture, which has some of the things from the Tuscany expansion. Their base game has been out of print or hard to find recently, and so I've had it on my wish list for a while. And so when we saw that they had gotten in the essential edition, we decided that that was going to have enough of Viticulture plus Tuscany as we needed for now. So that was really a fun game, and I'm looking forward to playing it again. And then we've also played some of our 10x10 games, Legendary, Walnut Grove, Roll for the Galaxy, and Eminent Domain. So, much better gaming time period than the previous. For Sagas of Geekery Now Watching, I finished Alias. Even though the last season is a little bit different, it definitely has a different tone than the rest of the series. It is still a great show, and I enjoyed getting to see it again. I'm glad that I went back and rewatched it. I enjoyed the Rimbaldi stuff, and it's a good show. And it's on Netflix streaming if you guys haven't seen Alias, because it was on quite some time ago. It was J.J. Abrams' show between Felicity and Lost. We finished up the X-Files special run. No spoilers, but finished it. And I restarted Person of Interest with Eric, so we will slowly go through that as our other TV show to watch together, and that is great fun to watch again. I'm seeing so many details that I didn't really notice. It's really fun to be able to watch it on the bigger TV, to see some of the things that are on the screen. They have a lot of text as they're going along between scenes, and so seeing some of that a little closer up. I think that I watched the beginning of the show on my iPad still. I don't think I had the Apple TV when I was starting it, so. And then the new thing that I'm watching that I started again is Numbers. And that was a great show that I really enjoyed when it was on. I don't think that I had rewatched any of season 1 before. And so the first 13 episodes, it was a short first season with Sabrina Lloyd instead of Diane Farr as the co-person. It was definitely interesting to go back and see the beginning. Things were familiar, but I didn't really remember them so much. So I have moved on to the second season, and that is really nice. Just while I've been working on my knitting or resting, it's been a good background. So I'm enjoying that. For Sagas of Geekery Now Reading, we are still reading Armada by Ernest Cline. For Sagas of Geekery Now Listening, I am listening to soundtracks from J.J. Abrams shows. Did you know that if you go to Amazon, you can search for TV soundtracks by some of your favorite composers, like Michael Giacchiano, who did Alias and Lost, Bear McCreary, who did Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Battlestar Galactica, and I have Apple Music, so I can stream any of the ones that are eligible for Apple Music, and it's been so much fun. I am really enjoying going through and listening to some of these. I had the Fringe soundtrack on. I have a whole J.J. Abrams soundtrack right now. Fringe, and then Person of Interest was the other day, and it's just quite fun. I enjoy background music, and you can hear some of the elements of things that remind you of certain episodes, especially the ones that I've just more recently watched. It's really great. For Fanciful Chatter, I got some new makeup. I have a new foundation too, but I have only just gotten it, so I'm going to try it out before I talk to you about it a little more. But I am wearing some of my shades from my Urban Decay. Oh, you can see me on the screen. My Urban Decay palette. So you can see my Instagram up there, I guess, too. I customized a small palette of 4 colors from their Urban Decay line of eyeshadows. I could pull them out and tell you what they are. I've got Midnight Cowboy Rides Again, Busted, Psychedelic Sister, and Last Call. And Last Call I had in a smaller one. It's a very nice pink, and I think I've showed it to you guys before. And I got it in this cute little purple and green palette. They pop out, and so I also have a 6-pot palette that is from Oz. The movie with Michelle from Dawson's Creek and James Franco. So I have some colors from that would also pop in to here. So this is something I've been wanting for a while, and I finally went ahead and got a little 4 palette. Not a lot, but just enough so that I could do some fun things with my eyes. So I have the purple Psychedelic Sister and the brown Busted, and it's faded a little bit because I've walked since then. And then I put a little bit of the Midnight Cowboy Rides Again, which you can't see on the screen. So it's just, I've been trying to experiment with things that I can wear that show up a little better with my glasses on, and so a little more colorfulness is good. For Book of Cooking, I have been eating for breakfast almost every day some combination of cereal that includes Mom's Best cereal is the brand. It is Blueberry Wheatfuls, and they are blueberry pomegranate, and they're like blueberry mini wheats, but better. They have such a nice flavor. And I found out when I got some other Malt-O-Meal cereal that they are part of the same parent company as Malt-O-Meal. And yeah, I have really enjoyed those. And if I could buy giant cases of it for a better deal, I probably would, because I'm enjoying them that much. As for what I've been cooking, in the last few days, I made an omelet with a spicy sweet potato hash with some fire roasted corn in it. And that turned out really good. And yesterday, I took a recipe from Rachel Ray's Big Orange Book, which is a collection of her recipes. We had looked through it last week, Eric and I, and we found a lasagna that wasn't layered. So I tried I loosely based it on that, where I made a noodle dish that included peppers and spinach and meatballs and cottage cheese and mozzarella. And there were veggie meatballs from Trader Joe's, which I love, and it turned out really good. And then I made a cream sauce with some spaghetti sauce mixed in. And it was a pretty good creation. So I think I'll definitely be refining that. That one may be added to the Red Kitchen as the next time I put it together. And I know there's been more things since then. I've made soda bread. But these two things were a little more creative, so thought I would share them. And happiness continues. I was told by people twice on Tuesday when I was out and about how much they liked seeing all the bright colors I was wearing. I wore bright pink dress and my fancy tennis shoes, and just I felt very colorful and that I was trying to be cheerful with my colors. And so it made me really happy that people noticed that that was a cool attribute for me, something that I was not shying away from color. And that's definitely been something in the last 10 years that I have found my confidence to wear the colors and not worry so much what other people might think. And so my whole lifestyle of cotton outfits and leggings and hand knits is just working so well for me. And I am grateful that I am doing that for me. That might be a little deep, but just appreciating the color, wearing the things that make me smile, putting the colors in my hair because it makes me happy when I look at them. So that is my happiness to share with you of the week. All right, I got this episode in before my husband made it home for dinner. That was my goal. I waited a little longer than I probably should have to get started, but now it is almost 5 o'clock. He'll be home before 6, I'm sure, and so I have a little while. Maybe I'll get this edited and put up for you. Let me tell you how you can connect with me on the internet. I am Kristine with a K on Ravelry. I am KDLB, just the letters, on Instagram. You can find the Yarnings podcast group on Ravelry, where we have discussions on each episode's show notes. There's a Facebook fan page if you want updates on the podcast. And you can see the show notes with links to everything I talk about on yarningspodcast.com, all squeezed together. It's fun to get to say that every time. And I am glad that I've spent this time with you, and I hope you are going into a beautiful day and can see some colors for yourself. All right, guys, until next time, that's the story.